Well, it's high noon on Friday, August 14th. Welcome once again to Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns. I am Jay Jennings.
I'm Tom Betts.
And we have a special show for you ready. So I hope you'll pull up a chair, some popcorn, and your favorite cerveza and join us. Thank you. That's right, Tom. It's our special Peter Lee Lawrence. What do you think?
That is excellent. Very good.
Thanks. So we're here today to honor the great who left us way too early, Peter Lee Lawrence. Baby face, but can also be kind of mean in some of his movies. I like to call him the Richard Widmark Kiss of Death spaghetti western version. What, he pushes that old lady down the stairs and that evil laugh. He kind of had that little James Cagney in him too, Tom.
Yeah, he got meaner the older he got.
He absolutely did. So today, let's introduce ourselves like we always do. I am Jay Jennings, and I am a poster and film collector, have been for well over 40 years, and autographs too. And the man to my right needs absolutely no introduction. That's the one and only Tom Betts, Spaghetti Westerns historian. Hi, Tom.
How you doing, Jay?
Good. Tell us a little about yourself. No, just kidding. This isn't the dating game, Tom. Okay. Tom has a great website, Westerns all'Italiana. And you can also see it on Facebook, where he continues his great writing, article finding, picture posting. And Tom pretty much does it all. Tom, how long has it been since you started Western all'Italiana magazine?
I got involved like 1980.
Wow.
And then took it over in 82 when Tim got married and decided he had better things to do than do a fanzine on spaghetti westerns. He was smart. I was dumb. I hung on.
No, thank you so much for doing that. Both of you are to be, honored and congratulated for doing that, because that's where most of the information we get before this show. I think it started with that magazine, which we pay homage to. So, Tom, Peter Lee Lawrence, we've got some requests through the last weeks to do a show on that. I always was planning on doing a show on Mr. Peter Lee Lawrence, who left us way too early, Tom. We'll discuss that, I guess, later in the show.
Yeah, we'll give a little information on Peter, but we'll discuss his mysterious death, questionable death, at the end of the podcast. But Peter Lee Lawrence was born Karl Otto Heirenbach, and most of the times you'll see it spelled Hirenbach, but his widow, Christina Galbo, told me it was Hyrenbach. So I don't know where the discrepancy comes in the spelling, but it doesn't make any difference. Still pronounced the same. He was born on February 21st, 1944 in Lindau, Bodensee, Germany, and he died on April 20th, 1974 in Rome, Italy. He was only 30 years old when he died, so we keep complaining about him being baby-faced. Well, he was a baby. He was only 30 years old when he died. He was married a couple of times and has 2 sons, but we'll get into that when we get into the mysterious death at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, good-looking guy, had leading man looks, and it showed in a lot of his films. A lot of other actors were we won't name names, were a little wooden-laced, didn't, say much, open their teeth, say a few words, dub their lines, but he got into it. He rolled in the dirt and had some good fights, had some good love scenes.
Yep.
So, and that's where he met his wife on the set, right, Tom?
Exactly, at Fury of Johnny Kidd.
And we'll talk about her near the end of the show too.
Right.
So let's start off. He first, I think, started off in a very, very small but memorable role, Tom, in For a Few Dollars More.
Yeah, he played Lee Van Cleef, who played Colonel Mortimer. He played his brother-in-law, and he's not in it very long. Vellani shoots and kills him, but this is his first movie, at least credited movie. May have been in some small parts uncredited, but this was his first credited movie. He was 21. So again, he's very young.
No, it's memorable. It's a memorable scene. He leaves an impression, especially of the legacy of who he is. But what I always thought was interesting, don't know if it's good or bad, but when he's shot repeatedly, there's no blood. He keeps grabbing
Yeah,
for a
grabbing different
bloodless
parts of his
shirt.
body and rolling down behind the side of the bed, right.
This is pre-Wild Bunch, Tom, so we're not going to see.
I'd like to know the backstory on how he got that role, because as you said, if he'd have gone on to be nothing or just a character actor or whatever, wouldn't have thought twice about his role in this film. But since he did become a star in the spaghetti westerns, I'd like to find out sometime about the backstory of how he got that role.
Awesome. I think. And is there a book written about him, or is one due, Tom?
I've never seen a book about him. There might be something in Germany, but some of the guys might let us know from Germany if there's been anything published about him other than just a few articles.
Well, this is going to be the closest thing to an historic documentation of his career, or his spaghetti western career. He actually got his big break, Tom, in Fury for Johnny Kidd, or of Johnny Kidd, where he plays Johnny Monter or Munter.
Yeah, he got different names depending on what DVD or video copy you see. He was billed as Arthur Grant in this. I don't know if that's just in the American release or the English language releases, but he went by Arthur Grant instead of Peter Lee Lawrence. And this story is about during the fight for California's independence from Mexico, a young man, Johnny Monter, who was Lawrence, learns how to use a gun from an old outlaw and tries to defend his family's land against the family of his girlfriend, Juliet Wolfe. Basically, it's a Romeo and Juliet story set in the Wild West. One of the bits of trivia in this is Paul Naschy has a small role in this, which most people don't know. But he is in this movie. He plays a gunslinger called Blackie. At the very end of the movie, if you see the long version, there's a guy walking around with a mask on, supposed to symbolize death. That's Naschy.
Well, don't give that away. That's probably the best scene in the film.
Yep,
Tom.
So if you don't see it, and you haven't got the long version.
Right. I think it might even be contained in the trailer that we're showing later.
Probably. That's
one
true.
of the great. It's very artsy. It's very Leone-like, mixed with a little Franco. So maybe
yeah, exactly.
That scene alone at the end, we call, I guess it's the massacre scene. But anyway, so I think we have the trailer. Oh, by the way, it's faster than I thought. Let's take a look, Tom, and then we'll come to his next films. But here is the Fury of Johnny Kidd.
The girl in the straw hat's Christina Galbo. That's the girl he was to marry later.
Nice.
There's Death. Paul Naschy in his black.
Great cameo.
And you notice the set that's from Fistful of Dollars. That's the Rojo interior. Great ending.
One of my favorites of all time.
Yep.
Sorry, he's still going on. Avanti! Where is it going? Okay. So anyway, No, great movie, great ending scene. That ending scene kind of reminded me of The Seventh Seal, that Bergman movie.
Yeah.
I know there's no chess going on, but the symbolism that death, he has to come finish the job, obviously, is what Paul Nash, that's so cool. Horror star, werewolf, vampire of many Franco-European films. I'm sure we have a lot of fans of him. Anyway, so let's move on to his next film, Tom, Days of Violence. Actually, not a bad role. Still, I don't think coming into his own yet, though.
I'm looking for that one. What do you call it?
Oh, you had it as Days of Vengeance. It's Days of Violence, Tom.
Days of Vengeance. Let me see.
Look at this, Tom.
There we go.
Tom.
I got it. I flipped it too soon. Yeah, Days of Violence. He plays a character, again, called Josh, Joe, John Lee, depending on what DVD or video you've got. This is during the closing days of the American Civil War again. Joe, Peter Lee Lawrence, his brother is killed unjustly by a guy called Clifford, a captain in the Northern Army. Joe decides to join a group of Southerners determined to resist till the end. Joe is considered an outlaw and a reward is posted for his capture. Sounds like Josie Wales.
Right.
When the war ends, Joe returns to the farm where he used to work, only to find Christine, the owner's daughter and his sweetheart, engaged to the hated Captain Clifford. So that's the Days of Vengeance. Again, it sounds like a lot like Outlaw Josie Wales.
Also, not to be confused with Days of Vengeance with Gemma.
Right.
Two of them. Well, that's not unusual to have spaghetti westerns that share different names, so therefore there's a confusion among
Captain Clifford is played by Luigi Vanucci, who's in Johnny Yuma, and Christine is Biba Lankar. So pretty decent cast.
Sounds like it. I think we have a trailer for it, Tom. So Days of Violence, not to use the old cliche, coming at you.
Yeah, this is confused with Days of Vengeance. There's a lot of titles that are very similar on these spaghetti westerns. So
let's take a quick look.
Nello Pazzafini. He must have been standing on a box because Nello's pretty big.
It's a good print.
Yeah.
Christine, una donna che aveva patito con lui le ansie di un'esistenza costretta a patire l'umiliazione di un vergognoso
little love scene.
Ti leggo negli occhi la gioia di rivedere.
Looks a little bit like Simone Blondell, doesn't it, Tom?
Yeah, a bit. Notice how deep his voice is.
A lot of them interchanged, as you know.
Yep.
A wig on this one.
That's Vanucci, yeah.
Quando si sarà spento, il primo che sparerà vivrà più a lungo.
I think Peter did that in a lot of films. Just kidding.
I giorni della violenza. Con Peter Lee Lawrence, un nuovo volto che non dimenticherete.
What does that mean?
Your guess is as good as mine.
It's Albineri. Okay.
That's great. Okay. So anyway, it's okay. It's a good film. We review films here. They're all not top 10, top 20 caliber. They're just in the plethora of the 600 to 800.
We cover the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And the obscure. And the beyond. So let's move to our next film, Tom. Actually, a little bit better. A Few Bullets More, which I actually don't mind. Has a couple other titles, but that's, I think, the one that's the most familiar.
Another confusing title is I'll Kill Him and Return Alone, which is like the Chuck Connors movie. And then A Few Bullets More is the American release. This is basically the spaghetti western version of the Billy the Kid story. Innocently, Billy becomes an outlaw while protecting his mother, but then turns into a trigger-happy killer. When he falls in love, he tries with the help of Pat Garrett, a fatherly friend and figure, to reclaim his peaceful life. However, circumstances force Billy to become violent again, and it is Garrett who is forced to track him down and kill him.
Right.
So we have Pat Garrett's played by Fausto Tosi. Helen Tunstall's played by Diane Zura, whose real name is Diana Zurakowska. We'll see her in a lot of Peter Lee Lawrence movies, the blonde, young blonde.
Right.
Mrs. Bonnie, played by Gloria Milan. There we have Gloria Milan playing a mother figure again. And Carlos Casa Ravila plays Jackson Murphy. So those are the main actors.
Yeah, if one of the characters is named Pat Garrett, it's loosely based on Billy the Kid.
Yep.
So anyway, let's get to the film that I think put him on the map, made him a star if he wasn't already. Great film, great outfit. Just, a lot of spaghetti Western stars have their one or two films that they're known for. And I think this is one of them in Killer Caliber 32, Tom. Totally
agree. This is one of his best. The way he's dressed, he's got a demeanor about him that he's no longer a kid. He's a take me seriously gunfighter. Silver kills 7 members of a masked gang one by one until the evil gang leader is unmasked. The Silver character preceded the Sartana character in much the same fashion as Garco actually played a Silver character in Venditori di Morte, The Price of Death, in 1971. So actually Peter Lee Lawrence's Silver character came first before Garco. He's dressed in black. He's a no-nonsense character, and I think it's one of his best films.
Oh, okay. I couldn't agree. I always get caught up in your analysis, Tom. But anyway, I revel in every and relish any bit of information. So, which I hope a lot of you are. And I guess at the 15-minute mark, we're at almost 16 and a half. I want to welcome you all to our podcast, broadcast, live streaming, Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns. I'm Jay Jennings. That's Tom Betts. And we come here every Friday, noontime PST, 3 p.m. EST, 9 p.m. EU, and 8 p.m. in the UK. And
the viewers are going to have to bear with us. We're in a heat wave here in California and Almeria. I mean, it's getting to be unbearable sometimes, man. We're in the 90s. Going to be up in the hundreds tomorrow.
Look at me. I'm already red, Tom. Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at this awesome trailer for Killer Caliber 32, starring the great Peter Lawrence, and either Tom and I will be on the side to comment and give our analysis. And as I get it all set up, what you can't see behind the scenes is me frantically looking in 10 different directions. Hold on, what happened to it? Hold on. Wow, I did not. Oh, I did not.
You didn't load it?
Yeah, I think I might have accidentally hit the delete button. But,
that's all right.
Oh no,
Killer
that's
Adios,
terrible.
which is next, is almost like a sequel to it, so they're very similar.
Right. No, I don't want to deprive the fans of what's going on. But as we look on it, we can talk about Killer Adios, which is the next great film. And we'll come back to Killer Caliber 32's trailer. We might just show 3 trailers in a row, Tom.
That's fine.
So go ahead, tell us
Killer
about
Adios, yep. Also known as Killer Goodbye, Winchester 1 of 1000, Winchester Justice. This is about Just Bryan, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, a noted gunman, but a bit trigger-happy again. He returns to a town where he once lived at the request of a former friend, Bill Bragg, to find that everything has changed. Not only has his ex-girlfriend become a refined lady, but someone is killing people by shooting them in the back with a rare Winchester rifle owned by prime suspect Jack Bradshaw.
Right.
So we have Peter Lee Lawrence as Just Bryan, also Brain and Brain, different names he goes under.
All right.
Fandy Endis is played by Sarah Bay. Marissa Salinas plays Sheila. The great Armando Calvo plays Bill Bragg. Nilla Pazzafini's in it as Jack Bradshaw. Lewis and Dooney plays the sheriff. What else? And then 5 spaghetti westerns usually play small roles like saloon girls.
Okay. I'm glad we found it. And then we talked about its sequel, Killer Audio. Well, it's not its sequel. And Chris Casey will make sure that we don't say that. Hi to Chris Casey and a bunch of other people. Well, I might as well say hi while people are here. Eric Osborne, Wasim Mogul, Esteban, Kim, Tony Williams, of course. Hello, Professor. John Nudge, Sarah Smith, Roy Garrett, as always. Eric, who else? Ali Lamage, Javier Ramos, hi Javier, Antonio, Finance Chiak. Sorry if I misspelled that. He's always, of course, Sebastian Manuza is here. And who else has joined us? Oh, Suzanne Benet. Is that a new, someone new join us? Michael McLean is here. And we always love, of course, Robert Zamowski is here. Gary Chamberlain. And the list go, Providenza is here. The whole gang is here, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to look, so I wouldn't know.
Please don't, because once Tom does, he'll try to do the Q&A with everybody during the show. But anyway, let's take a look at the trailer for Killer Adios, Tom, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Basically, as you said, same outfit.
Yeah, he's got the jacket off, so he's got a white shirt, but looks very the same. And the titles are confusing. Killer Adios, Killer Caliber 32, interchangeable.
Winchester 1 at 1,000.
Yep, there it is.
It's something like a snake with its tail in its mouth.
Do you think he ever dubbed his own voice or never?
It may be in German.
Oh, right.
I'm sure not in English.
But you know what? Sometimes they give him that light bookkeeper voice that they give Klaus Kinski.
Yep.
Obsessed by the memory of his youth, our lawman
who is it?
Golden City, Fistful of Dollars Town.
But now it is the law that's destined to be thankful for the return.
So there's that Spain.
To stop the most dangerous of all.
Really good with the pistol.
On, see? Yep, looks the same.
Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they shot you. We wouldn't know this if they maybe shot it simultaneously,
back.
Tom.
Yep, it could be.
An early version of that. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay, thank you for the credits. Another great scene. So let's move on to a film. Oh, we'll talk briefly. There was a film on board for him called The Roots of Revenge in '67, Tom.
Yeah, the Italian title is Le Radici della Vendetta, which Jay translated into The Roots of Revenge. Film was never made, so I mean that's all I can tell you about it. We have no idea.
No other information, Tom?
Nope. No.
I think it was the second in the trilogy.
Could be
of the Killer Caliber films.
Yeah, could be.
That's just me, Tom.
Could be the second or the third. Yeah, who knows?
Right. Coming up next, he made a film, one of my favorite titles of all time, One Against One, No Mercy, Tom.
Or One by One, yep. Also,
how lame.
Yeah. Who cares about One by One? We want to know One Against One, No Mercy.
Right.
Forget that. Bill Chico Grayson, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, learns that his father, during the American Civil War, was accused of theft and killed. Teaming up with a former Mexican scout, Joe El Chato Charo, who was present and left for dead, they set out for revenge and to find stolen money and avenge Mr. Grayson's murder. So again, we have Peter Lee Lawrence as Grayson. William Bogart plays Joe El Chato Charo. Diane Zurakowska, which I mentioned about her earlier, the blonde in the Billy the Kid story. She plays Dolly Stewart or Jackson. Eduardo Fajardo pops up as Sheriff Lyman. Manuel Tejada as Frogmouth. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Rufino Ingos also plays the sheriff in this. Joaquin Parra plays Deputy Sheriff Lou, and Sidney Chaplin, son of Charlie, plays Jacques Latour or Jackson.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this masterpiece. Well, not really, but it's a fun movie. As I said, sometimes the title or the poster. Well, the actor with the mustache looks like Hal Linden. Who's that guy, Tom?
You have to show me the poster again.
Oh, well,
I'll have to look in here and see who it is.
You'll see him in the trailer, Tom.
Tell me there he is.
Okay, let's. I don't need to yell. You'll know he's here, Tom. All right, let's take a look at the trailer, everybody. That guy right there, Tom.
Oh, that's William Bogart.
Oh, okay. Nice last name.
Yeah, he's Italian. Bollettini. Guglielmo Spolatini, I think, is his Italian name.
Some of these I'm just noticing for the first time, they have a little bit of maybe it's just because they're violent, but I'm noticing some over-the-top goofball comedy in this town.
Yeah, comedy relief.
Yeah, or a guy thrown through a wall who comes back smiling or something.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of that. You know what I mean? I'm Cutthroat's 9 kind of guy, Tom.
Yeah, me too.
That they were to track down and
I don't mind little comedy stuff.
Well, the match, the match that Cleve does on Kinski is my kind of humor.
Right, exactly. The black humor. 4 Coffins, not 3. My mistake.
One bastard comes in, another comes out. Oh, is that it? Wow, that ended quicker. That ended quicker than I thought. Oh, there's a little plug. Wow, nice. So anyway, Tom, a good film, not great, but that's fine. Let's move on to another okay film, A Pistol for 100 Coffins. It's a good title.
Yeah,
he plays Jim. Tom,
if you haven't seen this one's a bit strange. So I would say check this one out, just because it's different. But again, after the end of the Civil War, it seems like every film he's in is right after the end of the Civil War.
Right.
Jim the Kid Slade, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, he's a young Confederate soldier and conscientious objector. He returns to his ranch to find his parents murdered and the ranch practically destroyed. He finds and kills 3 of the murderers and learns the name of the 4th, a certain Corbett. Corbett is the leader of a gang that has plans to rob a local bank, and Slade is invited to help defend the town from the bandits. Teaming up with a preacher, the preacher is John Ireland, who has an agenda of his own. The two take a stand against Corbett and his gang. In the meantime, a dozen maniacs are released from the local jail and are roaming the area. And although that sounds funny, and in parts it is, they have a main part of the movie towards the end that I can't reveal what happens. But that's the odd part of the movie, is these maniacs. And when they have them in jail and they show close-ups of them, you'll recognize every single one of them as character actors in the spaghetti westerns. Fajardo is one of them.
Oh yeah.
And also Piero Lully plays the bad guy in this Texas Corbett. So it's got another great cast, a lot of action, but a lot of suspense too.
Yeah, it's okay. It is a little weird. As I said, sometimes I like the title better than I do the movie. You can't love every spaghetti western you see. Of course not. Nothing is Modelo. I call it Metallo on purpose. And or Little Rita, which we know we have some lovers in the fan base of, which you'll never convince me. I'd rather watch White Fang,
there you go.
Part 3. But anyway, yes, except take the Django part out with Terrence Hill, and I mean, keep it just that as the movie, his scenes.
Yeah, take the Wild Westerners version, which is all the singing and dancing has been removed. So then it's a straightforward.
I don't have that version, Western. Tom. You gonna loan it to me?
I don't have it either. It's on YouTube, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't know, or I would already have it if it was.
Okay.
Anyway, so welcome once again to the show. Let's move on to the great film career of the tragic ending to Peter Lee Lawrence, or was it tragic? Was it natural causes, Tom? We have to wait till the end of the show to find out what's happening. Anyway, next film up is one of the, I love posters. I love titles, Tom. One of my least favorite is Death on High Mountain.
Death on High Mountain, yeah. Where'd they come from?
So that one I think I won't really care too much about, but it's an okay story, Tom.
Yeah, Mexican bandits and their American supporters terrorized the border territory, but Loring Vanderbilt, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, and Mark Harrison, also known as Francis Parker, put an end to their tyranny. General Valiente, played by Tano Cimarosa, has a great comic role as a pious bandit leader who worships all saints until he decides they've let him down and then throws their statues away.
Right.
But I think this is the one he plays the artist. I'm not
the
positive.
The artist is the gunfighter, Tom.
Is it? Okay. So he plays Loring Vanderbilt. Luis Davila goes by the name of Lewis Dawson, and he plays Mark Harrison and Francis Parker. And then Antonio Gradoli plays Frank Braddock. As I mentioned, Tano Cimarosa plays General Valiente, and Barbara Carroll is Arlena Braddock, also known as Daphne in this. So those are the main actors.
I know we just talked about that film, but guess what I have queued up, Tom?
Uh-oh.
What I just missed. As I said, sometimes we skip forward because we're so
Killer
excited to
Caliber
give you this.
32?
No, I'm going back for a few dollars more clip, Tom.
Oh, okay.
No, it's A Gun for 100 Graves, Tom.
Oh, okay, great.
I love the opening Saul Bass type of graphics. Peter Lee Lawrence, Tom Betts, Chris Casey,
Nice
Roy
score.
Garrett.
I don't know if this is the score from the film or not.
Well,
sometimes
it's A
they
Gun
use
for
other
100
scores.
Graves, Tom.
There you go. That's Spain.
I have to admit, this is a trailer that's had the least action of anything I've ever seen. We're already like 3 minutes in and no one's shot anything yet.
Now
there we go.
Shoots
John Ireland, who I love, another great character actor. He'd probably do his own show too, Tom.
Yep.
But then we'd have to do everybody, give them their own show. I'd have to have my own show, Tom. All right, awesome.
Here we go.
So anyway,
Too bad.
We went back a little bit. Not as strange as Django Kill, right?
No,
Kill
no,
Django,
no.
come out of the grave and scare us to death.
Yep.
Not as trippy as that one. So after that, he made, I guess, another favorite. Even though he takes a back seat in the billing, but I think he steals the show. Is this one where he's the crazy brother, Tom, or isn't the Garingo?
We're talking about Garingo. Okay.
Right.
Also known as The Dead Are Countless. But this one is traumatized as a young boy. Johnny, Peter Lee Lawrence, witnesses the murder of his father, an army deserter, by a group of soldiers. After that, he despises all military personnel as an adult. He randomly kills every soldier he can until the Lieutenant Garingo is sent to stop his rampage. Garingo's played by, of course, Anthony Stephan. One of the weird parts of this movie is Johnny tears the lapels from the officers' uniforms, as had been done to his dad. The lapels are then placed on the marker, at his father's grave. So every time he kills one of these soldiers and rips off their lapels, he makes a journey back to his father's grave, makes a little shrine out of it with all these different lapels hanging all over his marker.
Right.
And so best roles. He's deranged, all right, but he probably one of his best acting roles for sure.
Yeah, I misspoke. He's not his brother. I was thinking of another movie. It's a scene where he's on the horse and he's got Stephan like on a wooden plank. Yeah, great scene. Yeah. I remember certain scenes that stand out. Just and he's just mocking them as they're talking.
Yep.
Like, what are you going to do now, Garingo?
Yeah, exactly.
So I enjoyed
Garingo
that.
doesn't want to kill him because he's a young kid, basically. But he's been killing all these soldiers. So, and Garingo is basically a gunfighter in uniform.
Right.
So it's one of his best movies.
It's very Bava-like. You know how the killer would leave like a red rose with, a thorny rose with blood or something, or a coin or something. So very symbolic, rips it off and leaves it by him. A little Jimmy Cagney, I think, I'm going to leave this lapel by your grave. So sad attempt. Let's take a look at the trailer for Garingo. And I think we'll see what I was talking about. Maybe that scene is in the trailer, Tom. We can only hope and pray. And here we go.
Vuestro Johnny es un loco que se siente fuerte.
Okay.
Es solo con un arma en las manos.
A lot of Spanish trailers today, Tom.
Yep. Garingo.
I think I had to vote. There's my scene.
Anthony
There's
Stephan
my
first
scene.
and taunts him. Yep. Yep.
What are you gonna do?
There you go.
He
Look at
just
the
did like a
athleticism.
front flip.
Yep. Now the tables are a bit reversed.
Well, they always get that way, Tom.
Yep. Garingo has the upper hand now.
I feel like doing voiceover, Tom. Anthony Steffen. Burl Ives.
Oof. See?
Robert Culp.
Salvi Stubing plays the love interest in this, yeah.
Garingo.
Jose Badalo.
Or is that Tequila?
There's the little, that's the little hut where he lives. His grave's there, his father's grave.
Oh, the Merchant Brothers. Marchant. Yep. Great. Great film. I think right up there, even though he wasn't the star, Killer Caliber, Killer Adios, The Unmade, Roots of Revenge, Tom.
Well, like you said, he steals the movie. I mean, it's supposed to be a Steffen movie, but Peter Lee Lawrence steals it. I love to see those type of movies where there's two stars in there acting against each other. It really makes them great.
Oh, well, that's what Ghidra and Hundra were for.
Ghidra and Eastman, a couple of movies with them together, yep.
Awesome, and you throw in
Robert Hundar,
Pancho, Furtado. You're having a good show.
And the thing was, in those days, Jay, they weren't the big stars. I mean, Hundar was known as a leading actor, Ghidra was, but years later, you look back and you look at them as superstars, and they're both in the same movie. So it puts
they're all worthy
meaning to us.
Yeah, they're all worthy of their own show. And during this time and space we're in, it is not far-fetched that we'll be having own shows for 347 spaghetti western stars.
Somewhere in the next 245 shows, we'll squeeze them in.
As I said, Tom, it's not that far-fetched. So anyway, another one of my favorite posters or titles for a film of all time, When Satan Grips the Colt, Tom.
Yep. There's
also
two
known as
titles
Awkward Hands.
there's two films with the same title, basically. Robert Woods was in one also called When Satan Grips the Colt. This was also called Prey of Vultures and Awkward Hands. That's what the poster here basically shows, Awkward Hands.
Wait, Tom, hold on, time out. Isn't Prey of Vultures, that's not a separate film altogether? It's another version of this film?
Probably retitled it off like Mintex or something where they copied another title and put it on there. Okay. But I've got it as one of the alternate titles. Stablehand Peter Bushmick, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, is whipped repeatedly and chased away from his sweetheart when her parents have found out they've secretly married. He's rescued by a black-clad gunman named Lattimore, and Lattimore is played by Alberto de Mendoza, who leaves him with Chang, a Chinese martial arts master. Chang is played by Gene Reyes, who's Filipino, I believe, who teaches him how to seek revenge on his tormentors. So this was done in '69. This is really pre-martial arts spaghetti western duos, but it's a pretty good movie and a little bit different. Pilar Velázquez plays Dorothy Warren, his wife, secretly married.
Okay.
And it's one of the better ones.
It's okay. I think I've seen it once, but I know it because I love the title. Other films you see 10, 15 times. I mean, I have 99% of the ones we review. It's my job to look through them, but when, we all have family and children.
Well, Peter Lee Lawrence
westerns aren't high on the list.
Peter Lee Lawrence aren't films that you'll come across on TV or on YouTube when you just put in spaghetti westerns, so you sort of have to dig for his films. But none of them, once you find them, would say, forget it, I'm not going to watch this for an hour and 15 minutes. Put it on and watch them. They're very, very entertaining.
Especially, Tom, if they're about films that have no character named McGregor.
Another takeoff on the McGregor family or whatever, but there's no McGregor in it. Peter Lee Lawrence plays a guy named George Forsyth, a reputed gunslinger who uses his wife as bait to attract outlaws with prices on their heads in order to collect the rewards. When the game backfires and she is killed, he sets out in pursuit of her killer, Joe Saxon, not related to John. But a mysterious writer, Robert Blondie McGregor, who's sometimes called McGregor, Peter Lee Lawrence, joins the chase, and eventually the pair join forces to go after Ross Stewart, the boss of the local mine with a big bounty on his head.
Right. Okay.
George Forsyth is played by Charles Quinney. I'd love to do a show on him, but you can't find any information about this guy. He was in like 10 early Spanish Westerns, and as the lead actor or supporting actor, and yet there's nothing on the guy. He's still around. I know that. Robert McGregor Blondie is played by Peter Lee Lawrence. Joe Saxon is played by Mariano Vidal Molina, and Ross Stewart is played by Stan Cooper. That's pretty decent film. A little bit different storyline there.
I still like Death Seeks a Man better than that one, but that's fine. Hey, there's another. Hey, Blondie.
Hey, Blondie.
Right. Or hey, McGregor. So, right. Another. Well, they did that with Django, which we covered last week. A lot. Most of the films.
Chimango, yeah.
Right. Had nothing to do with it.
Well, yeah. With the Sartanas, they changed a little bit of the name and make another character so they don't get sued or whatever.
So I think McGregor's, you can put that in that. They're probably last, but that's fine.
Well, once you get a winner, they clamp down on that to throw it in a title somewhere or a character to make you think it's another McGregor movie.
Right. Well, after that, he got back to Four Gunmen of the Holy Trinity, Tom. A lot of films have the word Trinity or Holy Trinity, and I don't know. It's okay. Another one I think I've seen once late at night.
In putting together this film podcast, Jay, I found the Four Gunmen of the Holy Trinity. I'd never seen it before. Wow. And I watched it in Spanish or some off language. And then I found it like 3 days later in English with a great print. So I had to watch it twice. And it's not worth watching more than once. But Quinn and Gomez are arms traffickers with the Indians while trying to acquire documents concerning the title of a gold mine, and are highly suspicious guests of Papa Martinez's inn. The unexpected arrival of Marshall Thomas and the journalist George Shelley, who's Lawrence, upsets the plans of the two guests, and they try every kind or sorts of tricks to win out against our two heroes. It's one of these slow-moving, dragging. If you watch it in your homeland language, you might enjoy it a little bit more, but it's pretty boring. George Shelley, or Lincoln, is played by Peter Lee Lawrence. Evelyn Stewart plays Julia Simpson, which is eye candy. That's one reason to watch it. Philip Hersent plays Marshall Thomas. Daniel Vargas plays Thompson, and Humberto Rajo plays Quinn Frenchie, and he's the lead bandit, and he's just a wimp. So that's a very detractable part of the film. But yeah, it's on YouTube, like I said, at least in English and some other language.
Okay, well, not really too, memorable in my opinion, but that's fine.
I would say it's the worst of his films.
Okay,
that's saying something. Yeah,
it is,
because his films are average, but this one's way below average, even with Evelyn Stewart in it.
Yeah, you can't expect to hit one out of the park every time, whether it's the screenwriter or who else is in it or the director. If the guy does musicals, you're not going to get a Leone type film. But anyway, next, kind of back on the right end of the track was Sabata the Killer. Is that in the sequel, or is that one part of the trilogy, or is that a completely different movie, Tom?
I think it's a completely different movie because the Sabata character is Anthony Stephan, who used some of those. But again, he's back with Peter Lee Lawrence and Anthony Stephan. It's not a remake of the earlier film that they were in. Sometimes called Dollars to Die For in the UK, and Viva Sabata is another English language title. Sabata, played by Anthony Stephan, and Mangosta, played by Eduardo Fajardo, are bank robbers who after a bank job, through a series of events, end up teaming up with the bank clerk Peter Lee Lawrence, who has also squandered money from the bank The trio then go on the run with Peter's boss, Garfield, played by Alfredo Mayo, and a hired posse equipped with the latest technology and weapons on their trail. Peter Lee Lawrence is a gambling debt, and so he's squandered money, and when the bank is robbed, he's trying to get away also because they think they'll find out that he's been squandering money too. And then they all join up forces, and there's about 6 different people in town that want to collect money from either the bank or Peter Lee Lawrence or whatever. And they all just get in each other's way as they hunt these outlaws down.
Right.
But let's see, Alfred Mayo plays the banker. Alfonso Rojas is the sheriff. Eduardo Fajardo was in almost every Anthony Stephan film. He plays Mangosta, so that's the summary of the movie. It's not very good, even with the pairing of those two.
Okay. How are we doing?
Now you're in the well.
Oh, okay. We're gonna do this live, folks, till Jay gets it right. I'm gonna say hi, Tom.
Yeah, in the well.
Technical difficulties. If you thought it was bad before, oh man.
And he's not doing anything. He doesn't mess with the mics or anything. He just glitch
Tom?
On the technical side. Yes, go ahead. Say something.
Hi, nice to see you.
As well.
Okay, folks, you got to bear with me, or I know what I'll do in the meantime. Tom I'll play something in the background.
Okay.
And Tom will, you're still going to hear me going, test 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait a minute. All right, let's show a little Peter Lee Lawrence montage as I try to get my mic in here. Tom, you still hear me?
I hear you.
Now let's keep trying. Whoa. How?
Still the well.
Nice backup.
That's Julie, sung by Peter Boom.
Peter who, Tom?
Peter Boom.
How is it now?
Say something.
Hi, Tom.
Still echoey.
Wow. Sorry, folks. You're gonna have to watch this until I get the mic. How is it, Tom?
Echoey.
Man. How is it now, Tom?
Sit down and talk.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, still echoey.
Great stuff to watch. Great videos, that's all.
Like watching even some ad mats.
How's it now, Tom?
Echoey.
Wow. Hope this can go on for another 2 minutes. Hi, Tom.
Yep.
This is real great.
Well, we can hear you, so.
Yeah, but it's not the way I want you to.
I know.
Still echoey?
Yep.
Wow. I'm enjoying this, Tom. This is what we call filler during the live broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
How's that, Tom?
No, that sounds better. Go say something again.
Hi, nice to see you.
No, it's still a little bit.
Sorry, folks. We're watching Peter Lee Lawrence, Tom. Well, that's fun. How is it, Tom?
Same.
Wow. This is really getting on my last nerve. There's no way this is going through the whole thing. Still bad?
Yeah.
The folks at home probably can't tell. Oh, no. Is that it, Tom?
Nope, same.
1, 2, 3. Little
Same.
hollow, huh? Wow.
Yep.
Well, that was fun. I know you can hear me, everybody, but it's not the way it's supposed to. I'm a little hollow, which means my mic isn't working. So it happens live, but that's fine. You're watching the Peter Lee Lawrence special, and I think the next film was Raise Your Hands, Dead Man, You're Under Arrest, Tom.
Yep. Raise your hands, dead man, you're under arrest. The Texas Ranger, the Sando Kid, played by Peter Lee Lawrence, disguised as a perfume salesman, is sent to clean up the town of Springfield, where the town boss Grayson, played by Aldo Sambrell, a former Northern Army captain, is forcing ranchers to sell their land cheap so he can buy it and sell it to the approaching railroad. The Ranger eliminates Grayson and his gang of thugs and ends up marrying Eleanor, played by Mary Zann, the daughter of one of the ranchers. So we have Sando Kid, played by Peter Lee Lawrence. Mancino, or Dollar, played by Espartaco Santoni. He's got a pretty big role in this. Is the guy right behind Peter in the poster. He's got a great outfit, not shown in the poster, but he's all in black. Honcho's on his hat. Helga Lean is in it, plays Maybelle. Franco Agostini plays Padre Bamba Brown. Aldo Sambrella as Lee Grayson, and Mary Zann as Dora Lenore Carson. So it's better than average. Aldo Sambrella is the guy that played the lead bad guy in Navajo Joe, who's in all the Dollar movies. He plays a pretty good bad guy. He should have been a bigger star.
Right.
Yep.
Well, so it's a good film. And once again, I see some of these more than others. I haven't seen it in a long time. Do you remember these films right away, Tom, or do you have to watch them?
Some of them I remember because they have, like you said, memorable scenes in them. This one I remember quite a bit. There's a model that Aldo Sambrell has, like a model train set where he shows houses and stuff and ranches and stuff he's picked up on the cheap to sell to the railroad. So this is pretty memorable.
Okay, well let's take a look at I guess some trailers from this, or a trailer.
Padre Bamba.
Sando Kid, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of athleticism in these. Looks like Gemma movies.
Sando Kid, Dollaro e Frate Bamba sono tre giocolieri della pistola, invincibili e bizzarri, e le loro gesta sono diventate leggenda.
That's the guy I was talking about. Espartaco Santoni behind him in the black.
Oh, okay.
Con una straordinaria carica di simpatia e di umanità.
Missione compiuta. Lo ha arrestato. La legge dice vivo o morto.
That's him.
Looks like Claudio Camasso there for a second time.
Hearing in the air, yeah.
Sei in arresto.
Great Italian title.
Gypsy type tale, yeah. Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Peter Lee Lawrence, Espartaco Santoni, Franco Agostini, Helga Liné, Aldo Sambrell, Aurora de Alba.
Oh, Helga Liné.
Helga Liné, yeah. Aldo Sambrell.
Right. We'll do a show on Franco Agostini, Tom.
Leon Klimowski probably didn't direct it. They just use his name, like CSE.
Well, he did a lot of Nashi movies.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Hearing music in the background. All right, so it's a good movie. A lot of cool violence. Now, this one, as I said, is up for maybe one of our viewers can chime in, because Tom seems to not know that Prey of Vultures was yet another separate film.
This is the one with the artist, where he plays the artist. Yeah,
that's the same one, same exact one. Okay,
yep.
The artist is the gunfighter.
Yeah, artist and the gunfighter, also known as Revenge of the Resurrected. That sounds cool. Prey of Vultures, and These Damn Pounds of Gold, which is a recent DVD release. Struggling artist Danny Lam, who's Peter Lee Lawrence, witnesses the killing of his father and remembers certain characteristics of the murders, as in Death Rides a Horse. Danny finds work in a small town and with the help of the sheriff's daughter investigates the crime. So yeah, it's a takeoff on Death Rides a Horse. Peter Lee Lawrence plays Danny Lam, also known as O'Hara, and Kit. Orchidea de Santos, beautiful girl, plays Janet or Jeanette. Carlos Romero Marchant plays Lou or Lon Stafford. Ralph Baldassar plays Porter or Herrero. Frank Branagh's in it, plays a guy named Johnson or Boley, and Lewis and Dooney plays Mr. Lam or Mr. O'Hara. A lot of these, they have different names and different releases of the dubbed versions.
Right. What's that poster behind you, Tom?
That's where he plays Billy the Kid.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, all right, well, Prey of Vultures was a good film.
Different different until you start to see the takeaway that is Death Rides a Horse, basically. And it sort of loses its luster.
Right. I think also was well, whatever, that's fine. I don't want to get too high, too philosophical. I mean, last but not least, on the last films that Peter Lee Lawrence made was God in Heaven, Arizona on Earth, Tom. Was it his last film or just spaghetti western?
No, he made a few after this. I think I wrote it down. I didn't write it down. He'd made a couple that same year, but this was the last year that he made films. He plays a young bounty hunter named Arizona who returns to his hometown to find it controlled by a wealthy and ruthless landowner named Stiles. He finds his father has committed suicide after Stiles takes the family ranch. Arizona decides to work with the weak farmers and ranchers to oppose Stiles and his henchmen. A twist develops when Arizona must confront an old friend who has been hired by Stiles. Arizona triumphs in the end, and the community returns to the peaceful town he remembers as a child. Here, he's a bit more rugged looking compared to his usual clean-shaven, boyish face we've come to expect. Right. Peter Lee Lawrence plays Arizona, or again, he's called Garingo in this. Roberto Camardiel plays Duffy. He always plays a drunk. Frank Branagh plays Austin Stiles. Juan Torres plays Jack. Lewis and Dooney, of course, plays the sheriff, and Maria Pia Conti plays Kathleen or Catherine. I just noticed that Frank Branagh seems to be in a lot of Peter Lee Lawrence films. You've seen him in a couple of trailers already.
Yeah, it's an okay film, not something to write home about. Great title, of course, not to be confused with Arizona Returns.
It's a bit disappointing, not in the film, but he's finally starting to look older, more gruff, like we expect our spaghetti western heroes to look, and yet that's his last film as a western.
It was sad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we finished with the spaghetti western films of Peter Lee Lawrence. Great, most of them great, some of them okay, some of them not okay. But like anybody else, you have your favorites, and if they're available on.
Did you count how many films we did?
Was that 17, Tom?
17. And when did he start? When was his first film? 65. Mm-hmm. And he died the last film was 72. So in 7 years, he made 17 westerns.
Yeah, that's
not too many actors in the genre can say they were in that many leading roles.
Well, that's why a made-for-TV movie of his life has to be on. Tom, who would play the lead? Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, I was going to say that if you watch him through here, he looks like Leonardo DiCaprio quite a bit. Yeah, I would say so. Yes, nailed it there.
So let's talk a little bit about the controversy real quick behind.
Well,
wait. Behind Peter Lee Lawrence's death, a lot of things have been circulating, and then I think Tom, you heard from his widow, who tried to set the record straight. Be great to get an interview, but the best you can get is a letter or an email or a message. It would be great if we had her on. Here she is.
Yeah, even in a follow-up role.
That would be a great surprise. Our best surprise guest.
I thought that's what you were going to say. When you told me you had a surprise for me, I thought that was going to be it.
Christina, you want to step in? Oh, that would have been awesome. It's none of it is true. None of it. So Tom's going to tell us a bit about how the end happened, his hospitalization, and then the myth surrounding his death. And then I guess a conclusion that was given by both his wife and daughter, his sons.
One of his sons, yeah.
Okay, Tom, tell us about the life and death of Peter Lee Lawrence.
Us older guys who have read about Peter Lee Lawrence over the years, there's two theories of thought: that he either died of a brain tumor, or because of the brain tumor, he committed suicide. And that's what you get. The only person that I read that disputed that was Erica Blanc. She said, no, he did not die of a brain tumor. He did not die by suicide, but she would not say what he died from. So that's sort of piqued my interest in a way, but I'm going, why is she the only one that says that? So I think it was about 5 years ago when was on my blog, I post birthdays when they're like 85, 60, in segments of 5. So it was either his 70th birthday or whatever, but I put down about Peter Lee Lawrence. And to my shock, within a day, I got a response from his wife, or his widow, and Christina Galbo, and she wrote the following, and I'm going to repeat it word for word, so you don't think I'm making this up or fudging. She said, Peter Lee Lawrence was born Karl Heirenbach, and like I said, with a Y, on February 21st, 1944 in Lindau Island, Bodensee, Bavaria, Germany. Karl had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. He lived in Nice, France for several years with his mother and then moved to Rome, Italy with his son Karl, who was born in 1965. Who today is a composer, and his mother a dancer named Claudia Baudoin, Baudoin. He was also cast in photo novels under the name Pierre Clement. He started his film career as the brother-in-law of Peter Lee Van Cleef in For a Few Dollars More. He went on to star in 16 more spaghetti westerns from 1967 to 1973. Well, 1973 would have been a release date. He was also credited in several of films as Arthur Grant. That's true. Some of these films were huge hits in Europe, including Killer Caliber 32, 1967, Days of Violence, 1967, The Fury of Johnny Kidd, 1967, A Few Bullets More, 1967, and Killer Adios, 1968. He was a particularly popular actor in Cuba. He married me, actress Christina Galbo, in 1950, and they met on the set of Fury of Johnny Kidd. In 1969, and the two appeared in, that's when they got married in 1969, and the two appeared in several films together and had a son named David in 1970, who's now a professor of oceanography at Hawaii Pacific University. And if you just put his name in on Google, you'll come up with a couple of websites and pictures of him. He looks much like his dad. In 1972, Lawrence began suffering from headaches. Once filming finished on Los Caballeros de Baton de Ancla in 1974, he was admitted to the Foundation Jimenez Diaz Hospital in Madrid, where he was operated on by Dr. Sixto Obrador. The surgery was a success, but the biopsy report revealed it was glioblastoma, which is a type of brain cancer. He moved to Zurich, where under the auspices of Professor Wolfgang Horst, he began both chemo and radium treatment. On the 25th of March, 1974, Peter was admitted to the Via Stewart Clinic in Rome with severe stomach pains. He died on Saturday, April 20th, 1974, at 3:10 in the morning. Rumor has persisted for years that because of the brain tumor, he had committed suicide, but this is false. And his death in the Rome hospital has been confirmed, also by his son, by his first marriage, Karl Baudoin. In all, Peter appeared in over 25 films, 17 of which were Euro Westerns in his short 9-year film career. So he died of a stomach ailment. I've not found anything after that, whether the chemotherapy brought on the stomach ailment or that was part of the brain cancer or whatever, but he did not die of a brain tumor. He did not die of suicide. He died of a stomach ailment. And that's the truth about the death of Peter Lee Lawrence.
Well, that is sad, but at least he didn't go that way out. But still, so young, you immediately become, well, especially in time, thanks to fans and magazines and TV stories, you become a cult person like James Dean or Marilyn Monroe.
Yep. Now, Christine Galbo came to the United States. She was born on January 17th, 1950 in Madrid. I'm guessing she was a flamenco dancer and also a film actress and sister of actress Beatrice Galbo, was born in 51. Like I said, she married Peter Lee Lawrence in 69, and they stayed together until his death in 74.
Right.
She made 2 Euro Westerns, The Fury of Johnny Kidd, where she played Julieta Campos or Julieta Wolf, the love interest of Peter Lee Lawrence, and in Twice a Judas, your favorite Kinski movie, in 1968 as Betty or Ragazza. Now, she taught dancing here in the States. I don't know where. For a long time, I suspected it was San Diego State University. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe because her son was into oceanography, and he studied at Scripps University, and that's down there. But she now lives in Seattle, Washington. I don't have an email for her. I don't have a phone number. I wish I did. I'd have contacted her and see if she'd have been on the show. But maybe she'll see this podcast and contact one or both of us and come on as a follow-up. So we'll have to wait and see. But she's still living in Seattle in retirement, and that's where she is today.
Yeah, that would be great. We always have an open door policy for anybody who's in the spaghetti westerns, who's, we just, going to mention a death that just happened to a famous cameraman in our news. I'd love to have got him on. Great cameraman, great photographer. We'll talk about that later. But what amazed me was, I don't get responses from actors on the blog. They're all up in their late 70s or early 80s. Most of them aren't tech savvy. They live in Europe, so they probably don't even know about the blog or read it. So when I saw this the next day or so, I was just blown away. And then his son from his first marriage came on also and confirmed and asked to get together with her. And I don't know if that ever happened or not, but there was like 4 or 5 messages in a row between the two of them. And there was every once in a while I'll get Robert Woods will pop on or somebody like that we know, but there's not any foreign actors that come on that leave messages. So I promised her when she left that message that I would try as hard as I could to correct the incorrect information about his death whenever I had the chance. So that's another reason why I wanted to do this show, was to get it out there in posterity for future generations to understand how his death came about. Right, absolutely, Tom, and that's why we're here, to put a stamp mark on the history of spaghetti westerns, to tell truths and reveal things. Water time. I'm all choked up over Peter Lee Lawrence. I wish he'd be here with us, our guest, Tom. He would have done the show, Tom. He would have been dressed in black as Killer Caliber.
He'd come on shooting. Yep, I'm sure he would.
He wouldn't even let me speak. He would just blast me. Anyway, so that is the lifetimes and career of Peter Lee Lawrence. And now Tom will now present us with his what he's currently in his reading list. Tom, what are you reading these days as far as spaghetti westerns go in Book of the Week?
Nothing on spaghetti westerns. There's nothing has come out since Javier's book about the locations in northern Spain around Madrid. But I do have a Book of the Week, and since you showed a poster book a few weeks ago, I've got a Spanish one. Have you seen this one?
Wow, no, I'm stealing that from you, Tom. What are you doing with that?
full of
Where'd you
mini
get that,
postcards.
Tom? That's awesome.
When it was, of course, the Europeans are afraid to post when these things are published. But yeah, let me see if I can flip one more page and see. It's pretty recently. It's in the last 10 years. 2012. 2012.
Where'd you get eBay Spain?
I got it from Spain.
Okay.
I think one of the secrets, and it's not a secret because every time I tell somebody about this, they say, "Oh yeah, I go there all the time." It's a site called Abe Books, ABE.
Right.
And they'll do transfers of money. They have all kinds of, especially bookshops over in Europe where you can't find the books here in the States. They'll have used books. If you go on Amazon and see one of Jay's books for $855 because it's the last copy available, go on Abe Books and you'll find it for $17.95 plus shipping. You know.
Spine a little worn, remainder mark.
Yeah, they'll mark it, you know, accordingly, and tell you how much it costs to ship it. And then I do it by PayPal, so they'll send me an okay. And I had one a couple of weeks ago, Jay, where I actually got a book, a Mexican movie book, very reasonably priced. And then they said, "Oops, we made a mistake." So I declined to buy the book because they didn't put in the shipping charges. The shipping charges were like 3 times the cost of the book.
No, I always use A-Books. I actually use Bookfinder, which then leads you, and it's mostly A-Books in both the UK out here. Great deals, save a little money. Little plug for them. Okay, and now, Tom, we segue right from that to another favorite part of the week. It's not big this week, but it's the weekly news.
The weekly news. Well, like as I said last week, we're in the dog days of summer, and with the pandemic, there's nothing being released in the way of books, videos, DVDs, CDs, whatever. All we got this week are passings, and there's a bunch of them because some of them happened right last Friday before we went on the air, and I couldn't get them in. But Polish animator of cartoon films, Andrzej Piotr Morawski, died on August 6, 2020, in Warsaw. He was 72 years old. He was born on May 6, 1948, in Wałbrzych, and was an animator on Asterix in America. Came out in 1994. I'm sure a lot of viewers are familiar with the Asterix cartoon series, and they did a Western called Asterix in America where they actually come over to America and get involved with the Indians. Next is Spanish character actor Paco Catala Ibanez. He died in Madrid on August 8, 2020. He was 75 now. He was a mainstay in his career, had been playing cops, hoodlums, fences, drug dealers, outdoor vendors, cabbies, and other street types. Paco appeared in 3 Euro Westerns. Al Oeste de Rio Grande with Aldo Sambrell in 83. The new Zorro TV series in 90, 91, 92 is Lancer Perez. And Sons of Trinity in 1994 is Porfirio. Now, someone from Spain has come in on my blog twice now and said he's still alive. They've been talking to him on Facebook. Yes, he does have a Facebook page, and I posted it on the blog, but he hasn't posted on there since the end of July. So I keep telling this guy to contact him because he says he's talking to him, to post on there that he's still alive. Otherwise, he's presumed dead. Next is German supporting actor Fred Stilkroth, who died in Munich, Germany on August 8th. He was 81. He's probably best remembered as Corporal Karl Schnerbart Reisenauer, who appeared alongside James Coburn and Maximilian Schell in Sam Peckinpah's Cross of Iron. He was born in Munich in 1939. We don't have a specific date of his birth. He appeared in only 1 Euro Western 1973's Yankee Doodler as Petrus Kapuska. Then we have Italian supporting actor Nando Angelini, who died in Pescara, Italy on August 7th, 2020. He would have turned 87 on August 17th. He was born Ferdinando Angelini and appeared on screen in 1958 and would continue to act in films until the late 60s, making over 80 films in that 12-year period. During this time, he was often billed under the aliases Fernand Angels and Nick Angel. Most of his parts were character roles as henchmen and gang members. His Euro Westerns included Dollar of Fear in 1960 as Spiritual, The Magnificent Three in 61 as a bandit leader. Colorado Charlie in 65 as George. Mutiny at Fort Sharp in 65. One called Cuesta Serra Parla Mark Twain, which is a TV series in 65 as Steve. He was in Renegade Gunfighter in 1965 and The Golden Sheriff as a town official in 66. One of the bigger named actors or actresses who passed away is Monica Miguel. She died early on the morning of August 12, 2020 in Mexico City. She was 81. She was born on March 13, 1938 in Tepic, Nayarit, Mexico. In pursuit of her artistic dreams on stage, she traveled to Mexico City, Japan, and Italy. She then returned to Mexico and became a well-known film and TV actress. While she was in Italy, she appeared in 2 Euro westerns, Night of the Serpent in 1969 as Ignacio's wife, and Gunmen of 100 Crosses in 1971 as Jenny. After her return to Mexico, she appeared in the TV series My Friend Winnetou, 1980, as Naylin Vincent. Pierre Brice starred in Winnetou in that series. And the last one who died just, yesterday, is Giancarlo Ferrando. He was a filmmaker, but we know him basically as a cinematographer. He was 81 years old and was a highly respected producer, production manager, director, writer, cinematographer, cameraman, and actor. He was born in Rome on November 4th, 1939, and worked with such directors as Lucio Fulci, Umberto Lenzi, Umberto Bava, and the two Martino brothers, Sergio and Luciano. He was involved in 9 Euro westerns, $10,000 for a Massacre in 67 as a cameraman, The Longest Hunt, 68 as a cameraman, The Silent Stranger, 68 as a screenwriter, Heads or Tails as a cameraman, The Buzzards and Crows Will Dig Your Grave in 71 as a cinematographer, Gunmen of 100 Crosses in 71 as a cameraman, God in Heaven, Arizona on Earth, 72 cinematographer, Dallas, 74 cinematographer, and last but not least as Buck at the Edge of Heaven in 1991 as producer and director of photography. So he had a connection with Peter Lee Lawrence, as I mentioned a couple of westerns that Peter was in that he was involved with. So that is the list for this week, Jay.
Well, he was a cinematographer that I enjoyed. I didn't mean there was big news. It was a big segment, but it was mostly obits, and not really in books or.
We've got a DVD coming up next week. I can tell you that.
Oh, okay, good. So that's always good news. And I guess that would kind of bring this podcast this week, Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns, the podcast, to its wonderful conclusion. But before I do, we always like to thank the Spaghetti Western groups on Facebook for showing support and for, I guess, letting me post promo posters on their site. So I got to thank them for that, Tom. But it always starts at one place, and that's Westerns all'Italiana, Tom's place, the 800 Spaghetti Westerns, another fan of the show. Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns. Of course, Spaghetti Westerns, the private group. Spaghetti Western movie. Who was that gal, Tom, in the hat?
Still don't know.
Okay. Spaghetti Westerns, Too Fast for Me to say, Spaghetti Westerns Unchained. And, of course, Fanatiques, the Western Spaghetti, Will We Be Without Opera of Violence. And, of course, Hulk Janoon and Hideki Uno, who I borrow from all the time to use their stuff, and I always thank them. And so we were also, where would we be without the one and only Spaghetti Westerns database, where you can get all your news and reports, if I can find them. Here they are. Yes, Tom.
I mentioned to you earlier, I didn't write down whether Peter's films were on DVD or Blu-ray, but you can go to Seb's Spaghetti Western database and put them in, and he'll be able to tell you what's available, what countries.
Right. There's the Wikipedia for Spaghetti Westerns, the website Tom Betts uses daily. And I'm there all the time looking at new releases and editions. So everybody check out the sites, the Facebook pages we mentioned before, as well as the one and only SWDB. So anyway, Tom, yes, thank you. We know how many groups there were. Tom, another show has come to the conclusion. Show number 13. I think next week we've decided that we're going to do a show on the tortured life, if Peter Lee Lawrence was enough, the tortured life and films of William Berger.
Yep.
So
that should be interesting.
Yes, it should be. Great. I like to always compare him to Richard Burton of spaghetti westerns. Drank hard, smoked hard, played hard, made his films hard. Intense actor. Not only made horror films, made a lot of spaghetti westerns and horror. Very well known. Started off very early. He was Billy Berger when he first started.
Billy Berger.
Yeah. He only took William
later. He appeared on stage here in the States with Henry Fonda.
Right. And in the early 60s, I think.
Yep.
And so very great, intense actor that I've always been a fan of. So I thought we would do a show on him. A lot of surprises coming down the road, guests, shows. Who's still waiting for my call or email is Alberto Di Martino, Tom.
Oh.
He said, when are you going to cook? I'm ready. Get me before I go. So I said, all right, but you must have an interpreter. So there'd be you, me, Alberto Di Martino, and an interpreter.
I thought you were working on Raquel Welch, too.
Raquel Welch said, if you don't discuss Hanny Calder. So I said, well, then forget it. I'm not going to discuss Kansas City Bomber, although that would be fun. Or was it 25 million years BC or 50 million years? Yeah. Was it Fantastic Voyage?
Yes.
So, she's in a lot of good stuff. With 100 rifles, Tom, or 500 rifles? How many rifles?
100. Just 100.
Myra Breckenridge.
Yeah, that's the best one. Yeah, Myra Breckenridge.
Oh, my God, it certainly is.
Maybe you can dig up Mae West.
Right. Well, you can dig her up. There's some people who dig and others who don't. So anyway, Tom, thanks again for joining us, and for all of you in Facebook and YouTube land. All these 13 podcasts are archived on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can check them out anytime and go to any spot you want, thanks to a fellow who jots down every topic that we do. He gets a big shout out. One of these days I'm going to get his name and thank him correctly. But anyway, Tom, we'll see you next week. We always say, what's Tom? Adios, amigo?
Adios, amigos.
We'll see you next week on Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns. So as I always end the show, Tom, I always say, Adios, compañeros!